Good morning, and it is time once again for Saturday morning cartoons. And once again, now I'm going to have to uh, uh, beg your understanding at my excitement about the release of the new book, Tarot Architect. And I'm going to share a little something with you this morning about that. But first, I wanted to share a little. Just to demonstrate how crazy the DuQuettes are and what religious fanatics,
Oh,
what what spiritual junkies. What did we do this morning, dear?
well,
We laid in bed and
we
drank
don't- we
our
don't-
tea. Yeah.
we don't watch Democracy Now! On the weekends because it doesn't exist, and I try to avoid the news for.
Come back around here.
My eyes are puffy.
Okay, here you.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I was going to squeeze in. See,
Oh.
you screw up. My eyes are puffy because I do have allergies. I'm going on a bike
You look
ride.
beautiful
I'm going
this
on a
morning.
bike ride. We watched. We try to watch some kind of documentaries or something on Saturday about Earth or people living some kind of a real life. We watched.
Permaculture and
We've sort of drained that resource. So we watched two Shaker documentaries this morning, and then we watched, no kidding, over an hour, the entire, from beginning to end, Pope's First Mass at the Sistine Chapel.
God, the clothes are great.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, with their fish heads, and on their, yeah. You don't want me to, I've had 2 sips of coffee because I don't usually have coffee this early in the morning. So I kind of have gone off on
You know, the mitre that they wear, you know, like every chess piece, bishop chess piece has a mitre,
it
and
looks like an open fish mouth.
it is.
And they're all they're all white, but some of them have beautiful brocade kind of designs on them. Some of them are plain, but they all look like open fish mouths. And so all through it, I kept thinking.
The Dr. Demento.
I kept thinking, fish heads. Not, just because I couldn't help it. So afterwards, when I had 2 sips of coffee, I took that and ran with it.
And then you remembered that Oannes,
Awanas,
the fish god,
the fish god, came out of the Great Sea with the word.
taught the Babylonians or the ancient Sumerians, or
Supposedly the first language, anyway.
yeah,
Something like that.
told people to stop eating each other and eating poop, and gave them language and mathematics, and
But
it was a
he
fish.
brought them the word anyway, and I went up the trail of the great the Great Sea, up the trail to came out of the Great Sea, which of course is Bina. And the word comes from Hokmah. Papa says, but the mother Bina actually distributes it, and we all know what the word is because the Beatles told us what the word is. It's love,
Yeah.
and
we all need, don't we all need a little bit of that?
Yes, and not to mention that they actually call it the Mother Church. So all the fish heads were.
They were all flapping.
They were all
Yes.
flapping, love. But, there have been many distractions, that stupid crucifix and stuff like that, but we won't go there.
There's a downside to the Catholicism too.
A
Yeah.
big one, yeah.
Yeah.
They've made a few errors in their interpretations, but,
But
who doesn't?
That's right. Now,
It was just the most beautiful rituals. They have
Yeah.
the best clothes.
they have the best clothes. The music was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's what the Duquettes
Did
did
for
in
fun.
bed this morning.
For fun.
Yeah. So,
You can watch 5 minutes of it if you just want to see the fish heads and the,
yeah.
and the
Yeah.
beauty of the Sistine Chapel.
And it was in the Sistine Chapel. It was
Okay,
great.
Now I'm going to go ride my bike. with the Tibetan Buddhist prayer flags on it, and try to bless the city of Sacramento with everybody in it.
Get everybody blessed.
With blessings of healing and peace and freedom from fear.
That's right.
Just like the Pope, and I'm not going to have this big staff because I kind of write with both hands because I'm older, except when I signal.
So, okay, darling.
2 sips of coffee on the table.
Okay, had some coffee, have we?
No, I'm not having any more.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's how's that for Saturday morning cartoons? 2 things. Okay, I want to plug. The book is out now. I understand that it'll be a couple more weeks before it's in England, but it's already in the United States and Australia. Getting very good reviews, thank God. And the reason I'm excited right now, because at the very beginning, it's crazy, like a new parent when a new baby is born. You're just so excited. So please forgive me and buy the book. But anyway, not only that, but I've lining up interviews and things, and I'm getting lots of invitations for interviews about it. And what's the book about? Can you summarize the book in a few words and stuff? No. But what I want to do is just give you just a little tiny bit. I'm going to read a couple excerpts, okay? And one of them is the title of today's talk, Macrocosmic Fairytale. But this one, I've trotted out for the summation, kind of what it's about. So if you're on the fence about whether to buy a 6-pack of the Tarot Architect from Weiser, hopefully I'll push you off the fence. I'll just open it up with just a few words from Chapter 1, the Building Code. Tarot is a wheel, a mandala revealing the mechanics of creation. Each card has its place on the great wheel, from the inscrutable 0 of the Fool to the dense materiality of the 10 of Discs. I've quoted myself there in the epigraph. Chances are you're already somewhat familiar with tarot. And if you're watching these morning talks, at least you've heard the word tarot before. You might even be a professional reader or a seasoned occultist for whom tarot plays an important role in your spiritual practices. If so, you probably own at least one commercially produced deck you currently feel comfortable using for your personal meditations and divinatory practices. If so, good. You'll want to have a deck of tarot cards at hand as you read and study this book. And just to remind you, the name of the book. Have I mentioned the name of the book, The Tarot? I travel with 2 decks that I use for my personal on-the-road magical operations. Yes, I said magical operations. And for reading for others. The 2 decks are my own Tarot of Ceremonial Magic, the deck Constance and I created in the late 1980s, and that for the last 30 years has been the deck of my choice. And I travel with the Crowley-Harris Thoth Tarot. Now, on occasions when neither of my preferred decks are available, I'm quite comfortable using the classic Smith weight or the BOTA kind of patterned, or the Golden Dawn, or any pack that happens to be at hand. Why am I not fussier about the deck I use? Because over a half century of working with tarot, I've come to the realization that the magic of tarot isn't in the cards, but in myself. You, however, won't need 50 years to make your cards magic. In fact, any tarot deck will become a powerful magical tool in your hands the moment you recognize it as such. I've written this little book to help you do precisely that, while giving you the opportunity to understand, organize, and systematically install each card in its proper place within your own psyche. By doing this, you will cast a true and powerful spell upon both you and the cards. A spell that will awaken within you the host of universal spiritual forces that live just beneath the painted surface of each and every card in the pack. Okay. Oh, it goes on, but talking about the building code. But this is what I also want to share with you. The fact of the universality of, I guess, what you would call modern magical or modern hermetic thought. That the blending of so-called traditions, Greek mythology, Hebrew Kabbalah, astrology, ceremonial magic, alchemy. They're not separate things. The Tree of Life has just as much to do with Greek mythology and the Hindu pantheon as anything else. We've only got one great, as Constance would say, Mother Church. In let's see what the chapter is. It's the chapter called the second working tool of the Kabbalah, or of the tarot, of the House of Cards, in other words. I call it a macrocosmic fairy tale. Once upon a time, before there was a second triad on the Tree of Life, okay, what I'm saying is, let me find a nice Tree of Life for us, okay. There's the first triad, 1, 2, and 3. So once upon a time, before there was anything but that. That's what I'm saying. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, I'm back. Once upon a time, before there was a second triad, Saturn, from his pre-dimensional Titan's throne in number 3, believed that it was his imperial responsibility to maintain the status quo of his Wild West kingdom of pre-existence. He became a classic paranoid king that feared that if any of his children were ever to escape the sealed three-part singularity of the supernal triad, they would grow up and kill and dethrone him, just like he did his father Uranus in an earlier fairy tale. If a next generation child were to escape, a new kind of below the abyss objective universe would pop into existence. A new kind of below the abyss existence. He didn't want that. Because the party would be over for the roughneck titans. To prevent that from happening, each time Saturn's wife, Rhea, or Oops, presented him with another newborn little god to be, Saturn just popped the baby in his mouth like a cocktail onion and swallowed it whole. Problem solved. The first baby snack was Artemis, who, if given the chance, would have made the perfect macrocosmic moon goddess. Then twins, Hermes, Mercury, and sweet baby Aphrodite, or Venus. Then radiant little Apollo, the sun, and finally hot and spicy baby Ares, Mars. So long as Saturn kept swallowing his young, a manifest macrocosmic creation was put on hold. Anything that could potentially become a thing remained in the undigested belly of Saturn Venus, his dimensionless belly, in a suspended state of pre-creational potentiality. Just so long as Saturn kept swallowing his young, that was the situation. This version of the myth goes on to tell how Rhea eventually got tired of this nonsense and decided enough was enough. When it came time for her to deliver the next baby, Zeus Jupiter, she tricked old Saturn by serving up a buttered stone wrapped in a tortilla slathered in a vomit-inducing rancid salsa. While Saturn was choking down his hard rock burrito, Rhea secretly spirited the child away across the abyss border to the newly formed second triad, where she enrolled him in a posh boarding school with a centaur headmaster. The new fourth Sephira, Hesed, Mercy, became the permanent address of Zeus Jupiter, the first god below the abyss. Because number 4 is actually the first manifested number in the new dimensional world, Zeus looked around and said, wow, I must be the self-begotten God of creation, because I don't see anybody else up here in this dimension. The Greeks have a name for this smug, insecure, and somewhat clueless first god below the abyss. Demiurgos, a god who mistakenly believes it's the self-begotten creator and the only god king in town. The Romans called their Demiurgos Jupiter and Jove, and the Hebrews silently called it, are you ready for this? Jehovah. Zeus, Jupiter, Jehovah, Amun, Wotan, and many other father figure gods are attributed to number 4, Hesed, on the Tree of Life, and share many fatherly, fickle, and jealous characteristics in common. Just look at your small card 4s and see how the Jupiterian character of the Demiurgos is exemplified in each of the 4 worlds. Okay, I go on. I just wanted to just whet your appetite if you haven't already. If you've been thinking about getting Tarot Architect, believe me, my enthusiasm will will fade because I'm writing other books too. But right now, this is my baby. And everybody wants their baby to be admired. Anyway, that's it for today. That's Saturday morning cartoons. We had a surprise visit from Constance. She's out on her bike now, blessing the neighborhood. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will